Welcome to FO Talks. With me is Joanna Lillis, a Kazakhstan-based journalist and author writing about Central Asia since 2001. Today we're going to talk about Kazakhstan's decision to join the Abraham Accords, which has surprised many. Joanna, very quickly for our viewers, can you just tell us why has Kazakhstan joined the Abraham Accords?
Hi, and thank you for the invitation. It's great to be here. Well, briefly, Kazakhstan's joined the Abraham Accords as part of its efforts to kind of forge good relations with the United States under Donald Trump, I would say. That's probably the key motivation. I think it's something that the United States government wants Muslim majority countries to join the Abraham Accords. Kazakhstan is a Muslim majority country in Central Asia. It's the largest country in Central Asia, and it carries some heft in the region. So I think Kazakhstan joining is something that the Americans would have been very, very keen to see happening. And for Kazakhstan, it comes without too much political cost. It's not, I think it's something that will please the Americans without causing any detriment to Kazakhstan.
Right, but is there something that Kazakhstan is getting in return? For instance, deals on tech or critical minerals, maybe even defense and security?
Well, certainly, yes. Certainly Kazakhstan is getting something in return generally from the relationship with the United States and, of course, from this diplomatic maneuver of joining the Abraham Accords. We all know, of course, that Donald Trump is famously transactional when it comes to foreign policy relationships, and Kazakhstan is certainly getting some deals out of the relationship. But I have to say as well, Kazakhstan is also investing in the United States itself. Recently, just before a summit between Central Asian leaders and Donald Trump in Washington, Kazakhstan announced a big deal to buy locomotives from the United States. Kazakhstan's also, we don't have on critical minerals partnership, but we do know that the critical minerals is right up there at the top of the agenda when it comes to the talks between Kazakhstan and the United States and Central Asia generally and the United States. So far, deals. There's been some talks about tungsten, agreements on tungsten. So yes, Kazakhstan is certainly getting some investment, but it's also having to invest in the United States itself.
Right. I want to talk about Kazakhstan's foreign policy because this is very strange and new, of course, for the Central Asian region with a Muslim majority country joining the Abraham Accords, because largely Kazakhstan's foreign policy has been, I would say, catered to, influenced, and even shaped by Russia and China, the two giants that it borders. So how is this different for Astana's foreign policy?
Well, yes, you're absolutely right, of course, in saying that Kazakhstan has two giant neighbours and it borders both of them. It has a 7,000-kilometre border with Russia up to the north and a long border with China to the east as well. So it's obvious, that from that point of view, Russia and China have very much shaped Kazakhstan's foreign policy, or Kazakhstan rather has shaped its foreign policy around Russia and China. I think the interesting thing about Kazakhstan's foreign policy, it has what it calls a multi-vector foreign policy. All means being friends with everyone, not necessarily allies, but certainly it means forging good relations with all countries' neighbours. So Kazakhstan's always been pretty much Western friendly. In fact, it's always been Western friendly ever since independence, which is in 1991, as well as being an ally of Russia and China. So Kazakhstan's always tried to have relations with the West, as well as with Russia and China, and that is a diplomatic tightrope, as you can imagine, especially given the current relations between Russia and the West and China. But Kazakhstan has walked that diplomatic tightrope quite skillfully, I would say. Kazakhstan sees this multi-vector policy of forging good relations with countries as a kind of the only option. It's in its interest in terms of national security not to make enemies. It's not particularly militarily powerful, or anything, so it doesn't want to make enemies. So I think, it might be the case that if you ask Kazakh officials why they're forging closer relations with the West and with America, they'd probably say it's really the other way around, that it's suddenly the West has come courting Central Asia and Kazakhstan for several reasons, and that they are merely responding to those overtures. So why is the West come courting Central Asia? Well, the war in Western countries seek, and China as well, seek other routes. Most traffic, say, from cargo traffic from China previously would go across Kazakhstan and through Russia, but other routes have been sought because of problems with Russia and with sanctions and sanctions risks. And also, so that's one reason why the West has come courting this part of the world. And also, critical minerals, as we all know, are now an incredibly important part of countries' foreign policy, securing access to critical minerals. So from the West point of view, securing access from a country like Kazakhstan, which is Western friendly and which doesn't have enemies, is a positive is a move that is in their interest. So that seems to be why the relationship has got much closer over recent months and years as well.
Right. Joanna, very quickly, you stay in Kazakhstan. Your work is about what happens not just in Kazakhstan but in the region as well. Can you give us an idea of how Kazakhs are feeling about this move, especially joining the Abraham Accords? Are they celebrating it? Are they largely ignoring it? Or how's like the feel of the people?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's something anybody's particularly celebrating. I think it's probably something that's not actually on the radar of a lot of people. I mean, obviously it's been announced. The government hasn't stressed this greatly to a Western audience. In fact, the Americans announced this quite a time before the Kazakhs actually announced it. So it's because they maybe didn't want to make a song and dance out of it, didn't want to draw attention. I mean, it could be argued that it's not a popular. I think it's fair to say that among certain segments of the population, it won't be a popular move. Because there are some strong feelings about the way Israel has prosecuted its war in Gaza. On the other hand, I think by and large, since Kazakhstan has long had diplomatic relations with Israel, and it's not something it's not something perhaps that is just on people's radar, because people know that Kazakhstan has diplomatic relations with Israel, and that this is merely a further step. So I think among some segments of the population, yes, but by and large, the government will manage the message, I guess you could say, and it is an authoritarian country where dissent is not always tolerated. So it's not something that's really becoming a big issue in Kazakhstan.
Right. Thank you, Joanna, for giving us the time and speaking to Fair Observer, and for beautifully explaining why Kazakhstan has joined the Abraham Accords and how there is a tussle going on in the region, very quietly, very silently, between the West and Russia and China.
Thank you very much to appear on Fair Observer.
Thank you.
Join the conversation at Fair Observer and subscribe to our YouTube channel.